Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something a little different this time, a 17th century play called Belle in Campo.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's got this,
17th century.
yeah, and it's all about women and warfare, but not in the way you might think.
Okay.
It actually features, get this, a whole female army.
A female army.
Yep, and they end up turning the whole social order on its head. Really makes you think.
Wow, a whole army of women. Now that's something you don't hear about every day.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how the play sets this whole thing up.
Yeah.
The women don't just suddenly decide, hey, let's form an army.
Right. There has to be a buildup.
Yeah, their roles and how everyone sees them, it all kind of evolves as the story goes on, which makes their transformation even more powerful.
I see. So the play explores their motivations and the societal context.
Exactly. So the story takes place in this, well, they call it the Kingdom of Reformation.
Okay.
And they're getting ready for a war against the Kingdom of Faction. Typical 17th century stuff, right?
Right.
The Lord General's in charge. He's, the big military leader. So far, so good. But then his wife, Lady Victoria, she's like, I'm coming with you.
Oh, that's unexpected.
Right. And this one decision, it throws everything into question. Suddenly, everyone's talking about gender roles, what women can and can't do.
I can imagine the controversy.
Oh, it's a big one. I mean, some of the guys, their reactions are priceless. One officer, he even complains that women are always putely and sick and whining and crying and tired. That whole stereotype.
Yeah, wow. So he's basically saying women are too weak and emotional for war.
Basically, yeah.
Sure.
Shows you the kind of prejudices they were dealing with back then.
Definitely.
But here's the thing, even among the women, you get different opinions. Some are hesitant, worried about the danger, what people will say.
That's understandable.
Yeah, but others are like, bring it on. Like this one character, Madame Ruffle. She stands up to her husband, really asserts herself.
Oh, so there's a range of perspectives among the women themselves.
Absolutely. So it's not just a simple women good, men bad kind of story. It digs deeper, shows the complexity of their lives in that society.
That's much more nuanced and interesting. So where does this female army come in?
Well, it starts with Lady Victoria. She's not planning to lead an army at first, but when the King's Council decides, women are more trouble than they're worth and kicks them out of the main army.
What? Really?
Yeah, they basically say, go home, ladies. You're a distraction.
Wow. I bet that didn't sit well.
Not at all. And that's when Lady Victoria steps up. She gives this amazing speech. She's like, shall men only sit in triumph in their chariots while women run as captives by? No. Gallant heroics, raise your spirits with a noble daring to get an eternal and infinite renown. Talk about a turning point.
So she's not just accepting this decision, she's turning it into a rallying cry.
Exactly. She's like, we're not going to be sidelined. We'll make our own army. And she's serious about it.
Oh, wow. So she's not messing around.
Nope. She sets up these tough training programs, creates a female parliament to make decisions. A parliament.
Yeah. And they have all of these rules, mandatory weapons training, no fancy stuff or alcohol.
Wow, so she's mirroring the men's army.
Oh, yeah. Like she's saying, we can do this just as well as you, maybe better.
I'm really curious to see how this plays out. They have the enthusiasm and the structure, but can they really succeed in battle?
That's the big question. What challenges will they face?
Well, I think the men's prejudice will be a major hurdle, like we saw with that officer's comment. They already have a pretty low opinion of women's capabilities.
Yeah, and they won't just change their minds overnight.
Right. And let's not forget about experience. They might be well-trained, but they lack the years of actual combat that the men have.
Definitely. Those are some tough obstacles to overcome. But I have a feeling Belle in Campo has some surprises in store for us.
I hope so. I can't wait to see how the female army navigates these challenges and what impact they have on the world around them. It's interesting, though, how the play also explores those more personal stories.
Right.
Alongside this whole female army thing.
Yeah. Like we were talking about Lady Jantil.
Oh, right. The one who basically shuts herself away after her husband dies.
Yeah, she chooses this path of intense mourning.
It's almost like she creates her own little world of grief.
Right.
The play even describes this elaborate tomb she has built with all these statues and stuff. It's a whole production.
It's wild, right? And then she plans to live right next door in this special mourning house.
Really makes you think about how grief can completely consume a person.
And I think it also shows how, back then, women didn't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
Like how they were supposed to act, especially when it came to things like mourning.
It's almost like society was dictating her grief.
Yeah, she gives up all her money, wears simple clothes, totally embraces austerity.
Makes you wonder if it was really her choice or just what she thought she had to do.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, you got Lady Passionate who's like, okay, next.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't waste any time.
No mourning period for her.
Nope, she's ready to move on, starts entertaining suitors almost immediately.
And she ends up marrying a much younger guy.
I know, it's quite a contrast to Lady Jantil.
Total opposite.
But it's interesting how the play presents these two very different ways of dealing with loss.
And neither one is presented as right or wrong, you know.
Exactly. They're both just reacting to the societal pressures in their own ways.
Like, Lady Jantil chooses piety and mourning, while Lady Passionate goes for companionship and pleasure.
And both choices come with their own baggage.
Definitely.
But then you have the female army who's basically saying, we're not playing by these rules anymore.
Right. They come back from that victory.
Yeah, that big battle, they win.
And they're like, all right, it's time to talk.
They lay out their demands. No more messing around.
They even say, since we are become victorious over our enemies and masters and mistresses of the field by our own valiant actions and prudent conducts, we will maintain our power by our own strengths.
Powerful stuff.
And the men, they're totally caught off guard.
They finally realize, okay, we can't ignore these women anymore. Leads to some really interesting negotiations, you know?
Yeah, back and forth, who gets what.
It's really about who has the power now.
What struck you about those negotiations?
Well, the women, they're not just asking nicely, you know? They're using their leverage, making sure they get good terms.
Like they earned it.
Exactly. They want control of that fort they captured. They want to be treated as equals.
This whole new world.
And the king, to his credit, he recognizes what they've done.
Yeah.
He grants them all these honors and privileges, stuff that was unheard of for women back then.
It's a huge victory for them.
Really changes the game.
But you have to wonder,
Yeah,
is it really equality if those freedoms are handed down by a man?
good point. It's like,
Yeah.
did they truly earn it or was it just given to them?
It's complicated.
Definitely makes you think. It really is. And then you have Lady Jantil.
Oh, right.
Her story kind of takes this sad turn.
What happens?
Well, with all the celebrating and changes going on,
Uh-huh.
she actually gets sick.
Oh.
Yeah, and she asks to be taken to her husband's tomb,
That elaborate one she had built.
the very one. And that's where she dies, surrounded by her servants, all crying.
That's so sad.
It is. I think it really shows how those societal expectations can be so heavy, you know?
Like she was trapped by them.
Yeah, almost like she couldn't see any other way to grieve.
It's a real contrast to Lady Victoria, who turned her grief into action, into fighting for something better.
Right, she channeled it in a completely different way.
And then you have Lady Passionate, who just goes for a whole other path.
She's like, life's too short for mourning.
Exactly. Lady Jantil chooses death, but Lady Passionate chooses life, remarriage, companionship.
The play really shows you how different people cope, you know?
It's amazing how Belle and Campo weaves together these individual stories with the whole female army thing.
Yeah, it all comes together.
In that last scene, Lady Victoria riding through the city in her golden chariot, the female army right behind her.
What a powerful image.
It's like a symbol of their victory, of how much things have changed.
But we still have that question, right?
About true equality.
Yeah. I mean, it's great the king gave them these rights, but...
He still holds all the guards.
Exactly. It makes you think about how much progress really comes from the top down versus from the people fighting for it.
It's a question we're still grappling with today.
Absolutely.
I think what makes Belle and Campo so fascinating, even though it's from centuries ago, is how relevant it still is.
Yeah.
Gender roles, societal expectations, the struggle for equality, it's all there.
I think the way it shows women taking charge, challenging the status quo, that's something that resonates really strongly, even now.
It reminds us that progress isn't always easy, that the fight for equality is ongoing.
And that sometimes you have to create your own army, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Belle and Campo gives us this glimpse into a world where women reshape society.
Makes you wonder what's possible.
Right. It really does. Well, that's our deep dive into Belle and Campo for today.
A fascinating play.
If you're interested in learning more, definitely seek out the full text.
It's worth a read.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.